The story of Caputo Brothers Creamery starts much like any other, with an idea and a dream and a belief that you can actually do anything you put your mind to. My husband Dave and I actually started Caputo Brothers Creamery in 2011, but the idea and the dream started well before that. We were actually engaged in Tuscany, planned a quick wedding, and on the second morning of our honeymoon, Dave woke up and decided he was ready to leave corporate America, move to Italy, and become a chef. And that's exactly what we did. We left our jobs in corporate America, we moved to Italy, and we went to culinary school in Calabria, the toe of Italy, a facility that literally hangs from the side of a cliff with an unobstructed view of the Ionian Sea. It was magical and the perfect place for dreams to come true. It was there that we first learned to make cheese. It was there that we fell in love with the cheese-making process. It was there that the idea for Caputo Brothers Creamery was starting, even before we knew it. When we moved back to the United States, we originally worked in restaurants till we found our way back to cheese making. And at that point, we decided we needed to go where there was good milk. We uprooted our entire family and settled in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania. Fortunately, there was an amazing dairy, Apple Valley Creamery, just down the road in East Berlin. And so July 16th, 2011, we started Caputo Brothers Creamery. Who are the Caputo brothers, you ask? Well, see for yourself. This is Giovanni, he's 8, and Matteo, he's 7. And you can imagine they're the toughest bosses you could ever have. They really keep us in line around here. No, just kidding. We have a great time. And they've been an integral part of the business, even from the early days, when we started in our home. Yep, that's allowed in Pennsylvania. Our first creamery had a 40-gallon vat, and back then we couldn't imagine growing any bigger. Our goal was to make 40 pounds of mozzarella a week and sell it at the local farmers market. But when New York City and Murray's Cheese came calling, we answered that call. At the time, we didn't realize we were producing the country's only fermented cheese curds that could be stretched into fresh mozzarella. But to this day, over 5 years later, that's still true. It didn't take long before the top chefs in New York City figured out we had a good thing. When you work with high-quality milk, animal welfare approved standards, and non-GMO feed, add in a little bit of Italian traditional methodology, you can't go wrong. Before we knew it, we were featured in the New York Times and Food and Wine magazine, and a few years ago, New York Magazine actually picked our cheese curds as one of the 50 best cheeses to eat in the world. Lots of exciting things were happening, and growth and expansion were inevitable. So at that point, Apple Valley Creamery, who we'd always gotten our milk from, came to us and said, "Why don't you move over here?" They gave us about 250 square feet of their bottling plant. We thought we'd stay 6 months. 3.5 years later, we'd finally built our new plant that's now 8,000 square feet. And we'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about how our process works now. So instead of making cheese on the farm, like we did when we were at Apple Valley, we actually have a refrigerated truck that we take over to Apple Valley. We fill up the totes with 300 plus gallons of milk. Once they're loaded, we bring them back to our plant in Spring Grove and load them into our raw milk cooler. This is important because we have to treat the milk very carefully. The preservation of the milk makes better quality cheese. Once we fill the raw milk vat, we do a quick agitation to make sure that no cream separated during transportation, and we pump the milk into the plant so it can go through a low temperature pasteurization. Low temperature pasteurization is important as it ensures that the milk is treated properly without doing any damage that might keep it from becoming a good quality cheese. After it's gone through low temperature pasteurization, the milk goes into one of our cheese making vats. It's at that point that we add cultures. Cultures, what are those? Well, they're just a fancy way of saying bacteria. Bacteria actually go into the milk and eat up the lactose, the sugar that's in the milk, and convert that into lactic acid. Once we see the lactic acidity starting to develop, we coagulate. We take 100 gallons of milk and turn it into 100 gallons of Jell-O. We cut the curds, as you see our cheesemaker Bill doing here. Once the curds are cut, we skim the whey and we re-cook the whey. That's right, re-cook in Italian translates to ricotta. And here you can see Elizabeth packaging up our ricotta. Once we have the curds to a perfect pH of 5.2, then it's ready to stretch. Here you'll see our head cheesemaker, Wade, actually stretching the curds. First into fresh mozzarella. We can also use this curd to stretch into provola, which is often considered a young provolone. Once the provola is stretched, it's time to go in for a salt brine. And tied up, and then hung in the cave. We also make some other great cheeses. Here, you can see Bill working with our ricotta salata vecchio. This is a milder version of ricotta salata, typically known in southern Italy as a grating cheese, that we allow a beautiful funk to grow on the outside. This makes this cheese not only perfect for grating, but also a great slice-and-eat cheese. Over the years, we've also developed some fun cheeses, like our provola picante, which we age here in Spring Grove, but also in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. We've also been commissioned by Sam Adams Brewery to make some fun cheeses for them. Here you'll see Bill working with what we call Beleggio. This is a Taleggio-style cheese that we wash with Boston Lager beer. And since Bill's the one who came up with it, we couldn't think of a better name than Beleggio. Once the cheeses are packaged or completed in their aging process, then they go either to our finish cooler or into our freezer. This is a very important step for the fermented cheese curds, as it will pause fermentation, allowing us to ship this cheese anywhere across the country. In fact, from right here in Spring Grove, we can actually ship to Alaska, New Orleans, Nashville, Memphis, Baltimore, New York City, Philadelphia. There's endless opportunity here for us at Caputo Brothers Creamery. We're having a great time teaching folks what real, traditional mozzarella should taste like. Throughout this process, not only have we fallen in love with cheese making, but we also have a small restaurant in Spring Grove, and we run culinary tours to Italy. If this is something you think you might be interested in someday, feel free to check out our website. There you'll find the amazing dinners we offer and the wonderful itineraries to Italy. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you've had a wonderful time learning a little bit about Caputo Brothers Creamery, and we look forward to stretching cheese for you sometime soon.
My name is Giovanni and he is Matteo. And we are the Caputo Brothers of Caputo Brothers Creamery. Personally, my favorite kind of cheese would be mozzarella. No, fior di latte. My favorite is mozzarella di bufala, mozzarella, and Parmigiano Reggiano.
What do you like to eat when you're in Italy?
I like to eat spaghetti, mussel spaghetti and clam, margherita pizza, something else, swordfish, octopus salad, and a lot of other things. Periwinkles, wait no, snails. And mine is pizza, and pizza.